break your mental resistance with the 2-minute rule. When we want to achieve things, we use motivation as our fundamental force. But does it really work? Motivation is like a roller coaster ride. There are times when our motivation is at its peak or at its bottom. Let me tell you a quick scenario to better understand what I mean. There was a girl who saw from a TikTok video how awesome it is to play the piano. So, she promised to herself to practice every day for 1 hour until she becomes a better pianist. During the first day of her practice, her motivation oozed. So after 1 hour of practice, she felt that an hour is not enough. So she practiced for another 30 minutes. However, after a few days, her motivation shifted. So instead of practicing for this day, she procrastinated and promised to play the piano tomorrow. Then tomorrow came, but motivation wasn't on her side. So she then delayed the practice. This kept on happening until her desired new habit faded like a mist, and her piano started gathering dust. Does this story sound familiar? You may not desire to learn piano, but you know to yourself that in some other way, you are like this girl. But why does this happen? Why is it so hard to follow up on our new habits? One of the reasons for this mental resistance is that the habit we're attempting to create might appear a little burdensome. It's a lot simpler to undertake anything when we're really motivated at first. But after that initial motivation wears off, after a few days, there's nothing to keep us going. And we haven't actually created a habit yet. That's why, when we're unmotivated, we're more likely to avoid the gym entirely, as committing an hour to it feels difficult. Instead of depending on inspiration to propel us ahead, we should concentrate on making our new habit an actual habit. Let me explain what I mean by introducing you to the 2-minute rule. But before that, be subscribed first to our channel so you'll not miss any videos like this from us. Done? Okay, so how can we utilize the 2-minute rule to our advantage? When the expectation is to read the entire book, work out for an hour, or run 10 miles, developing a habit might be difficult. The majority of the tasks you procrastinate are not difficult to complete. You merely avoid initiating them because you make them look like that. The 2-minute rule's goal is to fool your brain into thinking that the habit you're about to start isn't difficult. So you want to boil down that large habit into a little 2-minute version. Your goals cannot be accomplished in 2 minutes, but any habit may be initiated in that time. And once you start doing anything, it's a lot easier to keep going. So, how can you employ this rule if you want to develop a habit of reading a book? You just have to read a single page of it. Just one. After that, you can stop reading, but you must do so for at least 2 minutes. The ultimate aim may be to read the entire book, but the expectation should be to simply begin reading, no matter how little. People frequently believe that reading 1 page is worthless, but a new habit should not feel like a chore, or you'll come to dislike it. The actions that follow may be challenging, but the first 2 minutes should be simple. The goal of any habit is to form it in the first place. You are not supposed to push yourself to the limit until you collapse from tiredness. So, first and foremost, you must train yourself to just begin by taking the smallest of baby steps. Once you get started, it's a lot simpler to just keep going since the mental resistance is gone and you're already doing what you intended to accomplish. Using the 2-minute rule, your goals should change to something like this. Become a pianist. Become play a single song. Clean the house becomes clean my room. run 3 miles becomes putting on my running shoes and go outside. All of these things are simple, yet they are critical because they are what get you started. You can't clean the house if you can't even clean your own room. You cannot be an athlete if you're unable to put on your running shoes. But even a simple walk around the block is better than nothing. What you're doing, more crucially, is creating and reinforcing the habit. Let me give you an example of how I use the 2-minute rule in my own life. I've always wanted to learn to play the violin, so I bought one for myself. I was thrilled and motivated to play for the first week, so practicing wasn't an issue. But when my motivation faded, I began to play less and less. However, I became aware of this and made a goal for myself to practice for 30 minutes every day. For the first few days, it ignited some fresh interest, and I resumed playing. But much like previously, the motivation faded with time. Even if I wanted to play, the notion of gripping the strings for 30 minutes made my head cringe. As a result, it becomes much simpler to simply avoid it entirely. This is when I understood that my high expectations were keeping me from ever getting started. I used to believe that every time I played the violin, I had to rehearse for at least 30 minutes. But I wasn't practicing because of that mindset. However, after employing the 2-minute rule, my goal shifted considerably. I shifted my goal to a new one. Play anything on the violin in 2 minutes. Well, that's all. There was practically no mental resistance, since playing anything for 2 minutes, no matter how terrible, is a piece of cake. My brain enjoyed the thought of accomplishing something so basic as well. But the actual miracle was that it was much simpler to keep practicing after that. I mean, I was already seated and playing, so why not simply keep going? As a result, I did. The 2-minute rule enabled me to develop a habit of practicing the violin. Every now and then, I don't feel like playing after those 2 minutes have passed. That's just fine. What is more crucial is that I continually reinforce my behavior. Even if I just play for 2 minutes, I've accomplished more than someone who chooses not to practice at all. I can't be a violinist if I can't even play for 2 minutes. So I encourage you to employ the 2-minute rule yourself whenever you are struggling to stick with a habit. Remember, the most important part of any new habit is just getting started, and it's also the most difficult to do. It's not about how good or how long you do it. It's about taking a persistent effort toward it. Rather than attempting to form a perfect habit from the start, do the simpler thing on a consistent basis. Chop that big objective into smaller chunks. That's how you turn your habit into a true habit. It is far preferable to do less than you had hoped than to do nothing at all. There will be plenty of time later on to enhance your performance. Remember that you can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. Since you've made it to this part, I can say that you enjoyed watching this video, so please give this a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this. And don't let this video fall on deaf ears. Start creating your baby habits now. As always, thanks for watching, and let us know in the comment section any habits that you would like to form using the 2-minute rule. Bye!